Episode 211 is recording live in 3, 2, 1. Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy a fresh episode of Into the Nexus, or should I say, stay a while and listen. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I'm joined as always by Kyle Fergusson. Kyle, dude, it happened.
It's Hot's Christmas.
It's Hot's Christmas?
Yeah. We're going to open up our cubes, and we get to enjoy exactly what I was hoping for last week, which is the animatronics are getting on the ride, Garrett.
Right out the gate with Kyle analogies I don't understand.
You got your normal roller coaster, and we're upgrading it to an actual full-blown line is decorated ride.
Oh, so the queue is decorated. You go inside. Maybe there's a few drops, but really you're here for the rickety animatronics singing songs about piracy.
Exactly, because you can get a little splash on any ride. But can you get a splash while listening to Dead Man Tell No Tales anywhere? No.
Okay. So what you're saying is up until now, Heroes of the Storm has not been themed at all. It hasn't had strong characters. It's just now when we get a retired senior citizen that Heroes of the Storm is starting to feel like a theme park.
Well, I don't think we don't have to say the obvious harshness, which luckily Jeff Kanata covered for us on stage. Does this mean there's no World of Warcraft map coming?
Wait, did they answer that straight up? Like,
they dodged that one. He delivered it great, and he gave him an out in the statement. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. But I'm really excited for the team. Something like Master Skins, which is still something I do miss, limited their creativity. Every time they made a hero, they had to come up with this amped up version of what they would be. And we wouldn't get all these cool, like Fenix is a elemental style skins on release because they'd have to do Fenix with extra spikes version. So even though we may not see that pure World of Warcraft map that we've all been jonesing for now, as a designer, I would be so stoked to be like, thank you. Now I can explore. Now I can come up. I can make that, Neo Stormwind map. We were going to do Stormwind, but I'm so bored of looking at my own company's assets. I'd like to do something to it to make it more exciting.
Yeah,
for me.
You want to experiment with new assets you haven't seen before. You want to stare at those assets longer.
Exactly.
I'm on the same page now. All right, we figured it out. Wonderful. Just a quick note. Obviously, if you're watching live, if you follow us on Twitter, you probably already know this. But for the audio listeners at home wondering just where in the Sam Hill members of the professional Heroes of the Storm team Tempo Storm are, as we announced last week that Psalm and Kala would be joining us. Unfortunately, Kala's ISP is down today. Hasn't been able to resurrect it to a functioning order. So we're going to have to push our Tempo Storm interview to next week, which I'm fine with. It gives it a little more breathing room. We get to really chew the fat with them. We don't need to be like, which was going to be the case tonight, which is, yes, we know Deckard Cain. We need to talk about that. But first, Tempo Storm's with us. Honestly, it'll fit better next week.
I'm still really excited to talk to them about their recent destruction they've been causing, and very much fighting back on those NA lulls we've been hearing about for a long time.
I like that you went with destruction. I would have went with relaxing feet up on the side of the throne on top of the North American points leader. They're just standing there holding the skulls of their enemies going, that was fun. Tossing it aside.
Kind of Xerxeing into
the pot. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That makes him seem a little evil. And
it's not being carried by like NA fans. It's being carried by downhill by their defeated enemies. So yeah, this needs some work. Come back to me on the Xerxes example.
Fair enough.
It's been a while since I've seen 300. I just watched Troy. Maybe that's close enough.
Ooh, man, Troy's underrated. Troy's underrated. Remind me of that on Weak Sauce, because we got stuff to talk about today, and we're going to talk about it right now, and I have just the bumper for it. This week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
And yes, you should, because it's happened. It has finally happened. A character who has been thrown around in equal parts joke and 100% serious for the Nexus. Deckard Cain has finally been announced. It was announced today as part of that PAX East panel hosted by Mr. Jeff Kanata, who was hyping it up on this show just 2 weeks ago when Kyle was not here. And I mean, really, the big news is that Jeff Kanata gave into the Nexus props at the beginning of the panel. And that's all that matters. We're done here. Thank you for tuning in for episode 211. We're going to leave now.
He did a fantastic job with the hosting.
He did. His like cheese-filled joy really just made me happy.
I think the shirt was on purpose. That's my brood now.
Oh, you're saying that he wore plaid purposely to just replace Ben Brode.
To give us that warm, inviting feel.
Fair enough. When I see flannel, I assume sweat.
That's because you're in Florida.
Yes, it is.
Up here, it's delightful.
Yeah. So it's happening. We're getting Deckard Cain. He is a support, which makes sense. In my mind, if you told me Deckard Cain is coming, the only two possible options would be support or specialist.
And specialist would have, one, been actually very shocking, and it would have been quite exciting now that we're kind of out of specialist, even design land. But Deckard Cain standing off somewhere by himself, sneakily talking to a tower, it didn't work.
Sneakily talking to it. Oh, you're right. Okay, I see what you're talking about now. Just, I see you there, artillery tower. How would you like to crumble?
Doesn't quite have the same impact.
No, it doesn't. He wants, someone needs to be there to hear Deckard Cain tell his stories. If Deckard Cain tells a story and no one is there to hear it, did he really tell it?
You got to write it down.
Exactly. So, he has a full damn kit, and some of his abilities are really interesting. You just want to dive in? I mean. Actually, no, before we dive in, I mean, dude, what do you think about this? This is a hero that has been mentioned since, I want to say, the first month of us doing this podcast. Like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Deckard Cain was a hero? Yeah, that'll never happen.
Yeah, he'll leave books on the ground for you to pick up and you get an audio log. I mean, it's been in our minds for so long. He's such a huge part of our memories of Diablo 2. I mean, ask someone to recite some lines, and they probably can't, but they can do the greetings, regrettably, and like where you're queuing through them as fast as possible because you played this game a billion times. He is so iconic, and I was trepidatious, I was nervous, and then I saw that dance with the sandals in the air and the kicking of the robe and the finger waggling. I mean, he just embodies that sword in the stone wizard I grew up watching.
Yeah, he's the crazy wizard, man. I love it. Did you play Diablo 1? I know you have very strong attachments to 2.
I've actually never played Diablo 1.
Okay.
I love Druid. That's kind of my problem.
Fair enough. So you got on the Deckard train in 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, for me, I played a little Diablo 2, but not a ton. I didn't own it, didn't have a computer that could run it at the time, so it was only at friends' houses or in the computer lab where we snuck the Diablo 2 demo onto every computer in it at school.
Nice. What'd you name it?
I don't remember. I think it might have just been projects.
Oh,
yeah,
the
projects folder.
Yeah.
I think it was just a projects folder. With that, and we had a Super Nintendo emulator, and we linked all the computers together so that we could play Dragon Ball Z fighting games from Japan on the Super Nintendo emulator against each other between two different computers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Until they decide to turn those screens around eventually.
Yep. But that was my first kind of run-in with Deckard Cain. So that would have been around 2001, I guess. But yeah, for me, man, like my Diablo memories are mostly from 3. That's when I really got in and hammered out some serious Diablo playing. So, but Deckard Cain was always this. He was this figure. He was always there. He was like, even though I never played it, it was just you can't get away from it. Everyone and their mother has a Deckard Cain impression. Everyone, to varying degrees of success.
That's true. It's basically a Sean Connery, but a little bit lighter.
He's not. He doesn't really have. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go to Connery land.
You know, you do the speedboats, and then you do the speedboats. You just gotta add a smile to it.
He doesn't have the Scottish though. There's no Scottish in there.
By the way, that is my new favorite Hero League tactic: smile talking.
Smile.
It's not something I
talking?
do on the show because we're trying to be, verbose and say our vocabulary well. But you just kind of stretch out your cheeks, and whatever you say just sounds, joyous. And you're like, "What have you been doing, man? We're just playing. It's all good."
I recently did some voice acting for a child's presentation, a presentation for children. And I found out if you just smile for the entire read, it sounds like you're talking to children.
You kind of called me out there, but yeah, it's a little like that.
I wasn't trying to. But my point being, like, this is one of those. What I think is interesting about this is every time we get a Diablo hero, everyone has their opinions on what the hero should be, right? Like when we first got into Heroes of the Storm, when you first started playing Diablo, you're like, toads? I don't build my witch doctor with toads. That's not the hero, okay? And I was like, Sonya, spear. I don't care about spear. Like everyone has their opinion, but Deckard, like you don't play as Deckard. Like Deckard is a little more malleable, in my opinion, although at the same time, you kind of have this sense, and I think they hit it. So let's talk about his kit. So starting off with his trade, he's got Fortitude of the Faithful, and he needs to hang out by another hero. If he is by at least one other allied hero, he's going to gain himself 10 armor, and his basic abilities recharge 50% faster.
All right, so we already got a pretty good feeling for where this guy is going to match up when you're picking out your lanes and whatnot. First of all, this area effect is a circle, and it's about the size of Cone of Cold. So if you were to take that cone, spin it around yourself, it's pretty small. Smaller than Brightwing. You're going to have to hug up a little bit, so you might want to avoid fighting Kael'thas's or anything that's going to punish that maybe already kind of over-punish part of the game, grouping up too much. But at the same time, you need to hang out by people. So two-lane maps. I'm just thinking about the lower leagues and poor Deckard Cain having to go farm by himself. Probably not the best idea.
Well, I mean, he's a support character, so I think, especially when you're first getting started with this game, if you're a support, you're probably gonna be hanging out by other people. A year or two ago when we actually did a new episode and we were talking about like how do you first get into this game, I'm like, play support, follow other people around. You'll get a feel for moving around the map without really trying. Or like actively thinking about it. So I mean, it benefits Deckard. It does not benefit who he is next to. So I think it's fine. You only have to be by one other hero. It doesn't say 2 other allies. It doesn't say 3 other allies. You just need 1. So I think it's fine. And when you break that trait to go visit another lane, that's fine too. It looks like by his kit, he's not going to be wanting to be. He's not going to want to do too many things alone. He enables his team. Everything he does is a setup for his team to execute on. And let's get into that. And while you'll be visiting other lanes, because his first basic ability on his Q is Healing Potion. And he literally throws a red Diablo-ass looking potion on the ground. And it just...
and it does that bloop, bloop. It's great. Everything about his sound design is spot on, of course. I mean, but they're so crisp. They're not the old files. They redid these.
Oh, yeah. Although, I don't know. That sound effect, I think may have came straight out of Diablo.
Yeah. I'd be really curious to know what the town portal sound is. Like, it's probably some dude wailing on a pipe with a feather duster or something weird. It always is.
Well, the next time we have someone from the art department on, we'll ask them.
We should.
We will ask them. But back to the healing potions. These are interesting. When they first mention it, he's like, he can throw a healing potion and it'll heal his allies. I'm like, oh, he's freaking Lily. I don't want another Lily. No, it's not like that at all. The potions sit on the ground and they just stay there indefinitely until one of two things happens. An ally runs over it and consumes it, which pops the heal. That's how he actually heals people. Or he goes to place more than 5 of these. Apparently 5 is the maximum amount of potions that you can have on the battleground at one time, but they last forever. They do not expire unless they are consumed, or you want to place a 6th one, which will become your new 5th max, and I'm assuming get rid of the furthest one back that you laid. And enemies can see them, but they can't interact with them. They can't steal them. They cannot attack them to destroy them. The only thing they can do is be like, he's going to go there to get healed. That's where I'm putting my skill shot.
And one spell we kind of have to compare to this is Abundance. You throw out the Circle on Alexstrasza, and it builds until it eventually heals, and there's a lot of counterplay. It's a rather scary ability to use. With Stukov being so high in the meta, you'll probably be fighting him if you pick a different support. But you can aim this thing, and it looks like it has a decent range. And if you were to select target hero and they don't, dash out of the way, it will land on top of them, delivering the type of heal you want. But already we can start to build that sense of where he's going to be. All right, so we got to hang out with heroes. We've only got 5 of these things. We probably don't want to be managing multiple lanes at a time. We wouldn't want to be with a dive team that keeps kind of leaving their potions behind. But maybe, right? Like, we have a bunch of potions for them to escape to if things go bad.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it and the way that it functions, right? You mentioned Alexstrasza. Now, granted, Abundance heals for 20%. That's a big heal, so it has a big risk in the time delay and the very large call to action of, hey, everyone's that wants life is going to stand here in a second or two. Whereas Deckard's healing for 230 a pop at the beginning of the game, that's significantly smaller. Depending on the hero, right? It's probably somebody where 230 is almost 20% of their health, but I don't know my health pools off the top of my head.
I'm really interested to see how this performs across multiple leagues, because the dialogue you have of throwing the potion in the bush, and as we run away, it's not in the middle of the lane. So let's say you're double supporting for reasons. We'll see what happens. And Lily gets a speed boost in her run and just runs across every potion, taking them for herself. So yeah, you kind of put them off to the side so that Artanis, who's escaping, actually veers sideways and gets the healing he needs.
Yeah. That's going to be part of the learning curve when we first get in with Deckard, right? Is how clumped do we make our healing potions? They're not on a long cooldown, so it's 3 seconds.
Yeah, 20 mana.
Yeah, 20 mana, 3 seconds. So it's not the end of the world. I don't think you're gonna have to sweat it that much. We'll see when the time comes. Sadly, we're not at PAX. We didn't get a chance to play him. Should have just made Jeff call in on like a crappy Skype call from a very loud PAX room.
There's some cool talents for this. At 4, you get to choose between giving a shield off your potion or restoring mana. At 13, you can choose between an AoE sort of explosion that goes off as a healer or a hero grabs the potion. Or you can increase the size of the heal if it's not picked up within 2 seconds, which I really like the idea of mine heals.
That was kind of my first thought when I first saw them. I was just like, oh, it's Abathur Mines for friends.
Yeah, this talent in particular made me think of it because I think you still, much like Lily, will have to kind of like Lily has to get in melee in order to make sure the closest hero is the right hero to be healing rather than, just chucking it to the low health guy in the back. I feel like you should be aiming these things all the time. They should be making that nice arc landing. And this to me says, ooh, now at 13, it's okay for me to lay these out in that way.
Yeah. Well, and you could use the cap to your advantage, right? If you are very confident in your skill shot ability to land a potion on someone, you can keep 4 out and just keep chucking 1 directly on a hero.
There is also a really cool talent called Bottomless Flask at 20 that makes your healing potions recharge after 5 seconds.
Yes, this was I think the first one they showed in the video. I'm like, oh my God, that is nuts. What they didn't say in the video was that it was a level 20 talent.
Right, and there you're thinking about a battle that lasts 5 seconds in a designated area. those are map dependent and not always possible to be planning out at 3 seconds of cooldown, 5 potions, so 15 seconds plus the 5 for each. It's a long bit of setup.
That being said, if you took the mana giving talent at level 4 and then you've got this thing, that might be, if you have that game that you just cannot seem to end on, that might push you over the edge.
Yeah.
Just the healing potion alone is supremely cool, and we haven't even gotten to his W, which is the freaking Herodric Cube.
It is?
Yeah, that's not a heroic. It's just his W. He can use it every 14 seconds as long as he has 40 mana.
You gotta say what it does, because I know when I think Herodric Cube, I'm thinking some crazy stuff, and this is a little tame.
Okay, yeah. You literally just throw the cube, and it deals damage to all areas in an area and slows them by 40% for just under 2 seconds.
It's a box, so it's a unique shape compared to circles and Alarak's triangles.
Yeah,
but,
I believe it was back when you were first started getting very into Alarak, and you had all these discussions of how many more shapes can we make abilities in this game? And it turns out, well, Kyle, we can now have squares and bigger triangles.
That's true. I think this ability is weird. Like the Zul'jin axes or the Fenix having a laser cutter. We filled out the kit, but this is bizarre.
It does seem a little strange. However, there were talents that give it gems.
Yes. If you like piano builds, you can get really excited about Deckard Cain because you can choose 1 per level up to 7, and they all affect the Herodric Cube. So there's this part of me that's like, you wouldn't throw the Herodric Cube. What a waste. And then it explodes. You have more cubes. This is weird. But now you stack gems, like you insert them in there, and then it still explodes. But like that, we've made a good little nerd reference there.
Yes, it's some really great theming. The first one being Sapphire at level 1, where if you activate it, it will increase the slow of the next Herodric Cube by 30%. And when we saw it on screen, I looked at it, I'm like, oh my god, is this getting toggles? Is this getting talent toggles that just passively increase the Herodric Cube's effectiveness permanently? And no, it does not. All of these, every single gem is a on next Herodric Cube use effect, basically.
Reducing healing received. Like these are they're really cool augments, and they give him, because you can take all 3 of them, a lot of battlefield control.
Yeah, we didn't talk about level 4 either, which I like. I like healing potions. So at level 4, if you take Ruby and you activate your little Ruby key, the next Herodric Cube will spawn 3 lesser healing potions for each enemy hero hit. That seems really cool in a team fight, especially nowadays, because it's still mostly double tank right now. You're gonna hit more than one hero, most likely.
And if you're slowing them, their contact time for your melees is higher. The contact time for the enemy melees is lower. So this is just a great support spell in general to have.
Yep. But let's talk about his other shape, Triangle, or his E ability, Scroll of Sealing. It's another 40 mana cost spell on a 16-second cooldown. But it's a large triangle that you control where it goes, and once it hits, it deals 150 damage to the enemies and that are inside of the triangle, and it also roots them for 1.5 seconds.
Roots are good.
Roots are good. Shapes are good, Kyle. And this is a large triangle.
Yeah, it has a while for the setup time. I mean, if Malfurion's lawn did nothing until it was max size, that's what you have here.
Oh, that's a good way of explaining it without showing it.
But it's just good. Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah, it does. The spell effects. Hats off to the art team. They're doing great work over there. But would you like to take the honors for the name of his first heroic?
Oh, stay a while and listen.
Yes. So there's apparently a 1 second wind up, and then this ability is channeled for 3 seconds, and it's a large frontal arc. So this is now this arc in front of Deckard being channeled for 3 seconds, and if you are caught in it, if you hear Deckard telling his story, he puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting the way that it works. So if you walk into this at the very beginning, you'll be asleep for those full 3 seconds. But when it ends, whether at the end of its channel or interrupted prematurely, there's an additional 2 seconds of sleep on the back end of this.
It is sleep, just like Anna. So if you get smacked, you wake up.
Right, and it is important that this has its own diminishing return built right in that you cannot be, if you're on the receiving end of this, you cannot be immediately put back to sleep if you're, say, knocked out of the sleep while still in range of this heroic. You can only be put to sleep once per use of this heroic.
Right, you have a little kind of tan golden bar under your health that goes as you cast a channeled spell. And this is one bar going. If you look at something like Mosh Pit, it's going dee-doo and resetting every single dee-doo, which is why it re-gives itself an application.
Right. I guess they didn't want power creep somewhere.
I mean, that it would be very powerful, and that would make you immune to a lot of cleanses. There's so few cleanses left in this game, too. And getting someone out of this space is going to be valuable. Plus, you got the wind up on your Scroll of Sealing. Follow that up with a Herodric Cube for a slow after your own roots after you made the engagement to say, hey, everybody, there's dinner here for 5 seconds if you can get over. And then there's sleep for that 2 seconds while the sealing makes. I mean, there's a lot of wombo potential here.
Yeah, this is a timing hero. You're going to have to get good with your timing and good with leading your spells. But yeah, you wanted to talk about the level 20 talent, and did you want to talk about it because it's interesting, or just because it came directly out of Carbot's Wouldn't It Be Cool If Deckard Cain video?
I mean, Respect the Elderly at level 20 is a fantastic name for an ability, but after the application of the sleep, whether it's interrupted or it ends naturally, you will be blinded for 2 seconds as well as silenced.
Again, level 20.
Yeah.
Like, this is really good. But is it level 20 good? I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think so. Yeah.
What are you dropping? Oh my God, 60-second cooldown. Yeah, 60, man. Not like that matters. We don't know his mana regeneration yet.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're wondering about that in regards to level 20, who cares? You're fine with mana usually by then. But
it is that cone, though. It does mean that there is a big area for misplay right behind him where Tracers and Genjis like to hang out. Yeah, I can just see my first attempt at this and the Tracer blinking just out of range of it. And then I'm just stuck there telling a story while a wasp stings me to death. Yeah, I guess we didn't see if you can stop telling a story early or not.
I would assume, since it's channeled, that you can hit R a second time to cancel. Would make a lot of sense. And be way less scary to use this ability. It's a heroic. I don't want to feel afraid to use it.
Standing still, chromies. I mean, there's plenty of reasons that Deckard looks like he's going to get blown the heck up for standing still.
Yeah. As for his second option of heroic, it is called Lornado. It's on a 30-second cooldown, only costs him 40 mana, and it creates a literal tornado of books and scrolls. Not unlike, if you remember the Diablo 2009 April Fool's joke that they put out where they said they were going to add the Archivist.
Oh, right.
This was an ability that they animated for this fake hero.
Huh. I wonder, it looks like it should have been cast in the room with Zoltan Kuhl when they all had those books on the wall. Didn't he have tornadoes going in there? I don't think they had books in them.
Books in them?
Yeah.
The tornadoes books in Diablo?
Yeah, and Zoltan
Oh, no,
Kuhl's
I don't think so.
fight.
No, it's just dust and probably some skeleton bits.
I mean, this is basically a controllable version of what the Sky Temple boss summons, and it is on that radial targeting, correct? So you can kind of Alarak aim this thing up.
Yep, you can control the direction of it. And it pushes, it displaces. It's going to be real annoying. And the fact that it's on a 30-second cooldown, I'm going to try this. I feel like staying a while, listen, is where the team is going to want you to go. Because like, yeah, kill potential, combo potential. But I'm like, no, I just want every 30 seconds to annoy someone greatly.
Pushes are extra annoying because you're silenced during the push back. And this could easily become the top. It is circle shaped. So it won't necessarily, because of the circle with all the different angles it points to, all 360 of them, it's not going to push exactly where you'd like for them to end up at the end.
Right. But if you're like me, and the most annoying thing that you think that's ever happened to you this game is a Chen barrel. Hey, you know what would make that more annoying is if he wasn't in the barrel.
That's a good question. I think I might join you on that one. I mean, I feel like when I die to Chromie, it's my fault after all. Yeah. And if I'm dying to Nova, I'm playing quick match, so that doesn't really matter. I hate being barreled.
So you're saying the most annoying thing for you in Heroes of the Storm is a toss-up between Chen barrel, dying to Chromie at all, or dying to Nova at all.
Yeah, I think I'd have to, but the Chen barrel's really harsh in my memories because Chen was popular during Li Ming's power race. And being silenced when you know you have a teleport that could get you immediately over that barrel was madness.
I think right now, and only because it happened to me twice today, it's being gorged by Stitches while he teleports over a wall. That's my current anger. But yeah, as far as the history of this entire game, Chen barrels. Be gone with them.
There's a great level 20 with another great name, Mornadoes.
Oh,
which reduces the cooldown for every hero you hit.
Yeah. I'm sold, Kyle. I am sold on Deckard Cain. I don't. They said a couple of weeks for his PTR appearance, so I wouldn't hold your breath for next week. Which makes sense. We just got Fenix.
Yeah, this would be week. Are we in week 2? No, next Tuesday will be week 2.
Right.
So
yeah,
we'll be about on track. And plus, we're getting all that lore biz. But before we get there are some other fantastic talents you should be excited about. First of all, one is called Scroll of Identify. And it allows his Scroll of Sealing to reveal enemy heroes for 8 seconds. And this has a quest attached that can increase that duration. Really cute idea there to throw that in as a reveal on the enemy side.
Nice.
You have Ancient Blessings at 13. Activate Fortitude of the Faithful, so his standby people aura. And it empowers nearby ally basic attacks to deal an additional 80 damage and heal the hero. And that's an area effect.
I like area effects.
Making heroes splash is pretty fun, even if it is just that 80 damage that you add on top of it or so.
It's pretty solid. I will say I'm not sold on the AoE healing on the potions talent. I'm not sure. It's like, how much value are you really going to get out of that? I don't know. I guess if you're throwing them where you want them, probably a lot.
It's an odd choice at 13. 13 has become our survivability level across most heroes, and every single rework has reinforced this. But now Deckard, a brand new hero, is getting a choice between 2 types of healing, that AoE healing or the healing increasing if you don't pick it up over 2 seconds. And that's up against this Ancient Blessings aura that he can give to his allies. So really kind of breaking the mold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they not level 13 specifically, but they've been rethinking their talents, right? I mean, we're still waiting on the Wisp tier for Lunara to get changed up, but they have said that that's something they're like, we don't think we need to stick with that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they're thinking outside of the box with talents.
I agree, and who knows how long they've been sitting on Deckard here.
Yeah, and we're pretty far ways out now from, the high time of generic talents as well. So I think the heroes we're starting to see here, I would hazard a guess we're not developed with the mind space of generic talents either. So I think this is just we're seeing a lot of lessons learned.
There is one more sweet talent I wanted to bring up. It's called Herodric Staff, and it is at 16. Every 5 seconds, Deckard's next basic attack stuns heroes for 0.75.
All right.
Get in there and give them a whack every once in a while.
That seems awesome.
It definitely, there's the idea of Deckard being like, oh, and trying to get up in there with everybody else and, hitting the Tyrael speed boost and getting in the sanctification. And like I said, it only happens once every 5 seconds. So you're not going to stack, Raynor and, get him inspired. And then
it's a slow staff smack, right?
Yes.
We're not talking Yoda beating R2 in Empire Strikes Back. We're talking more like what happened to Luke in Last Jedi. A single, smack.
And you can't stim him no matter how fast you make him attack. The stun is only going to happen once every 5 seconds. But the idea of Greymane jumping you and you just giving a little bop and that causing some sort of lockdown is really awesome.
Oh, God, dude, you just sold me on this talent with that particular example. I want to see that.
It's up against some cool stuff.
I mean, that's true for kind of this entire hero, man.
I mean, you got Stone Curse, which is your scroll does 200% damage if it hits 2 heroes. You got Safety Numbers, which is your aura. If it's hitting 3 allies, you get additional 10 armor, and you are now regenerating 50% faster on top of that. So there's some cool stuff here, but this is just awesome.
Yeah, I wish we were there. I want to play this hero. This time last year, we were getting back from the summit. We had just played Genji. Felt like I had all the insider info.
I saw that Cassia released a year ago yesterday.
Yeah, and we were sitting here being like, can't talk about Genji, can't talk about Hanamura. No. That was fun. I remember having the meeting beforehand. I'm like, man, I just feel they're so conjoined in my brain. I'm going to have to really try.
Well, and I feel like of all the heroes, I'm most conflicted about Cassia's presence in the Nexus. I don't hold her in any sort of esteem, but I am deathly afraid of her sometimes. It's a very weird place to be in my head.
I'm pretty much only afraid of her when I am trying to retreat and I'm slowed.
Fend is a beast.
Yeah. Actually, yes. I was gonna say it's like the ya from Pit in Smash Brothers Brawl. Yeah.
I would say that is more annoying than what Cassia has.
Well, imagine Cassia's Fen never ended.
And you were kind of mini pushed over and over again during it.
Yep.
Oh, and you do it on the edge. Yeah, you would, didn't you? You did it on the edge, and then I tried to jump back, and you'd get stuck in it, and you'd lose that next jump because you never touched the ground. Mm-hmm. Gross.
Yep. I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry Pikachu has 2 quick attack modes, so I can get over the top of it at least.
So you took some questions from Twitter in regards to this Deckard announcement. And let's hit them. So Exarch asked, ever set up any games where the comp is all from one world like Diablo versus WoW?
And this is actually bringing to light a very exciting point. This is a full-blown healer that operates at range, and Kharazim has always been very limited since he's been reined in after new release. So this means the Diablo team is finally quick match viable. You don't need to kind of worry about Kharazim going into a Kale Thas.
Well, I mean, I would hope your opposing friends wouldn't be that mean in your theme matchup. Like, WoW versus Diablo, we take Diablo. Okay, we're grabbing Kael'thas. You ass. Why would you do that?
You can run some exciting games in the custom matches, and for those of you at home who like to play versus AI, there's some really cool stuff you can do. There is a great balance mode where you have a 5v3, and you set yourself up against 300% AIs. And they will hold you off. You can do kind of versus the leaders of the Zerg or the Primevals if you wanted, and make a smaller team to fight.
Yeah, you're basically making your own brawls.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more modes like that. Heroes seems like the type of place where that would be fun, especially if the brawl gives us some more custom maps. I'd like to do it with just Ragnaros, but give me a map that kind of looks like Molten Core, please.
I've done it. And you can beat level 30 from the beginning Ragnaros. It's tough, but if you hold out, you'll catch up in levels and have a great time with that custom map.
And then Blood Anubis wants to know, would another healer push us back into double support meta? I'm not sure Deckard Cain's going to be the one that does it.
Though if we pair him with Ana, we can do Grandma-Grandpa team.
That does not a meta make, Kyle.
But, you know, it's cute.
Yes, if we're going back to Exarch's question about themed games, then sure, I'm on board. But if we're answering Blood and Nooses about what we think the meta is going to be like, I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to shake the meta up too much. But I've been wrong before, and I will be wrong again.
Yeah, the double support nerf damage first and foremost, which is why we probably will not enter a double support meta off the back of Cain here. Alex Straza can still do a good amount of damage, and new Ana can too. There's room to run that once in a while. And people are now saying, Vala's health's a little too low. Her damage is still fantastic. Can we go back to double support? Maybe. There's a lot of Tracer Tassadar running around right now too. And if that continues, if Vala gets the health buff that lots of people are calling for, we could end up there again easily.
Gotcha. But not because of
backwards
Deckard.
As that would be.
Yeah, but not because of Deckard. Not because another support is added to the game. Which, by the way, does this mean, Kyle, that you and I get to do Tracer Tassadar again sometime soon?
Yeah, it's in well enough right now. We could easily run that tonight, particularly alongside something that benefits from the responsiveness, like the Garrosh Maev business that is happening everywhere in my league right now.
Team, you don't get to stand where you want?
Team easy to pile on the heroics, I would say, more likely. But I did face, in Diamond, they're not dead, the Gazlos, a beautiful Garrosh who tossed us into every Gazlo bomb.
Dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, that makes me happy.
It was a frightening affair. Gazlo took the talent where whenever he gets stunned, he drops an additional bomb. We had a stun-based comp. So
you were the architects of your own destruction.
Yeah, we were. And so many times we thought we were going to win that, but Gary armor, Gazlo armor,
Ugh.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah, no dice. Just a lot of really close kills. A lot of traps fallen into, I guess. Well, shifting gears, there was another announcement at the Blizzard panel this morning, and that's that the Nexus is getting its own lore. Or, if we're being honest, the announcement was that it already has its own lore, and they've been doing this for a while.
Right. They let us in on the secret that they're expanding this game's personal story. It's entirely fabricated for heroes. We are not having what maybe I thought would be the characters that could never enter the Nexus. So in that way, they said never, never. But I was thinking maybe the old gods were teaming up with other overmindy kind of things that we would just never be able to encapsulate in a hero in this game. But no, they're running with the Realm Lords, the guys like Ravenlord and Gravekeeper. And now there's also the name we've heard, the Queen of Thorns?
Right. That's what's going on in Garden of Terror.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Although it was just odd. It was the back half of this was it was a strange back half of the panel, because it almost just felt like they were just confirming a similar question asked, I'm assuming, in many different places. Like, hey, are you just going to recognize the Nexus as like its own thing in Blizzard? And this kind of felt like them going, yeah, the Nexus is its own thing. We're going to consider it legitimate lore now. It's an actual story being told at Blizzard Entertainment. But I was expecting a little more out of it from the way that this was hyped up. Really all we got out of this was an announcement of a comic that will be coming about the rise of the Ravenlord.
I do feel like some of our hosts, like Cloakin, were pretty hinty about upcoming cartoons, which is what I would be most stoked about. Mechastorm was awesome. The Kel'Thuzad event was spectacular. And seeing heroes in that level of motion is what really got me excited. I love StarCraft cutscenes where it's just the units doing their business, because when I see a zealot go, and then he stops dead and goes, woo, 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 that's lame. But I'm inserting over it my imagination that I remember from the campaign cutscene where he jumps through the air and explodes a Baneling and then his shield goes, whoa, and he melts and stuff. Like, that's going in my head. So I'm like, yeah, get him, Zealot. So more of that.
Yeah. In concept, I'm extremely excited about this. I want big, ridiculous Avengers / G.I. Joe style mashup stories being told about all the different Blizzard universes clashing together on an unknown battlefront. Give me that. But if you're going to hype up an announcement like this, show us something.
In that way, it was a bit of an odd sell. And so many of these, big panel and big convention discussions feel like they're not made for us. What we've called in the past the whales, but the primary campers and consumers of that certain product. There's a safety, and I love BlizzCon because of that. It feels like no holds barred. Everybody's ready. Everyone's super nerd here, so let's just tell it like it is.
There's a confidence there, right? Whereas this seemed extremely timid. And I didn't expect, he doesn't work there anymore. I didn't expect Chris Metzen to walk out with Doomhammer and yell, Blizzard fans, because he wouldn't be yelling BlizzCon up his packs. But I don't know. It was odd. They seemed very cagey. They seemed just not what I am used to from anything where they have a Blizzard employee and they turn the camera on. To me, it almost seemed like it was probably just the venue, right? This is PAX. This is not BlizzCon. This is random hall in hotel number or letter B somewhere in Massachusetts, rather than something they had full control over. It felt like I went to Star Wars Celebration last year. Actually, it's been, I think, exactly a year now since Star Wars Celebration. I went to a lot of the side panels, and they felt very much like this. It was very reserved, very quiet, very about just talking to the people in the room and having a dialogue and being human. And I'm not sure we're used to that from Blizzard.
Well, it's also kind of the watching Magic at Home effect where, the guy goes, and I will now make the Statue of Liberty disappear. And you're like, you just pulled the car sideways and we're on film. You could have cut it. I don't buy this. So things that can be less exciting from home in person are fine and get you into it. Like Deckard Cain showing up in cosplay. In person, that's sweet. That's an outfit. That is an impressive display. But on video, we expect more fireworks. And this is a letter of love. I want you guys to own it. That's all we're saying here, I think, is that we love it. We want the comic. We want the cartoons. All you had to do was say yes, and we love it too.
Yeah. It seemed like they were beating around the bush a little bit, which I just thought, I just found it odd. Was all. But I want this. I want more of this. I think my hesitation comes from Overwatch, where there was a big comic event planned. Like it was going to be something I could go to my local comic shop and buy. They canceled it, or they pushed it back so many damn times that there's no more word on it anymore. I don't know if it's even still happening. We've gotten some digital comics, which are great. I'm not complaining on getting comics for free, but I want to read them in bed, man. I don't want to sit at my computer and read a comic.
There's a reality of that swag coming to our world that is very important.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm old school and everyone under the age of 30 is like, what's wrong with you? Just read it and move on.
I think there in our lifetime, man, there's going to be such a desire for books and other off-computer activities because we learn on computers, we play on computers, we work on computers, and I know I have to get away quite a bit.
Yeah. And I guess I just missed the story. There's no, outside of World of Warcraft, no Blizzard properties are really telling stories right now. Overwatch seems like it could be so strong, and they're not doing very much with it. I know they just announced a story-heavy PvE scenario coming to the game, and I'm very excited for that, but it's been a long time coming. I want more of it. I want to know more about that world, and it just seems like, I don't know, to me it feels like there's a lot of medicine missing in Blizzard right now.
That's fair. I mean, I'm always going to be biased because of dyslexia. You load up a comic and the words are sometimes sideways and overlapping each other, and three people, and then I'm supposed to follow like this little sieve down, and then like it's attached. Someone else's words are coming in, so I'm supposed to like note that this means this guy is still talking. You gave me those Draenor comic or cartoons. Oh my God, I was there every morning when you released them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying I want comics specifically. It's just I think it's a path of least resistance, right? It's probably the easiest way to tell the story. I don't expect but I would take new cinematics. I would take new story-driven games coming out of Blizzard. That's why I think a lot of the people, at least in our age group, fell in love with the studio in the first place. Right? Like, yes, now there's this big esport component, there's this big community component, but before we really found like-minded nerds, whether it was through Azeroth or through a message board somewhere, there was a jumping on point for some of us, and I think for a lot of us, it was these characters. It was the stories being told in these universes. I miss it.
There's reading machines out there that love World of Warcraft for that alone, and would not play it if it wasn't for the stories.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss. I'm looking forward to Battle for Azeroth because I'm just, I just want my big bombastic Blizzard story again.
It's cool to see all the updates that have come out today.
Yeah, yeah. We got a miniature update on Fenix, and it looks like something's coming, but don't expect it as quick as say the Maiev patch. Aklonzas? I can't pronounce that name. Holy crap, I've never struggled this hard. Anyway.
It's a great red dragon name, though.
Yeah. I'm just going to call him Blizzack. Blizzack said we're already working on a regularly scheduled balance patch 2 weeks after a major release, which means we should have something for you next week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. But went on to say, while we occasionally tweak balance outside of our normal balance patches, spinning up hop fixes is actually quite expensive in terms of dev time, since it takes away from the other things we have in progress. That doesn't mean it will never happen, for example, Maiev, but just trying to set expectations when it comes to how often we tweak balance. We also don't want to shift the meta every week by changing things too often, since that makes things more volatile and comes with its own set of frustrations. So Maiev seems like it was a bit of a one-time thing. Could happen, but it's going to be few and far between.
And in this new world where we are waiting a month and maybe a month and a half between heroes, I'm okay with this. I'm okay waiting the 2 weeks. I like knowing that our balance will happen in its pre-picked out cubby.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't mind it that much. There's bans, right? So you have some way to combat it if you think it's that bad. Yeah, whoever's banning might not agree with you, and you'll have to deal with that, and that will happen. But I don't know. It gives me a story. It gives me a historical touchstone in the long story of Heroes of the Storm. We can, in a few months from here now, we'll be like, hey, you remember when Fenix was breaking damage meters, and we're all kind of curious how that ever happened? Yeah, that was fun.
That's the thing, and once again, I urge everyone to have patience and enjoy this time. And in fact, if I were to broadcast an idea this week, I'd want everyone to think about breaking even and how this game is fun. And if you're currently enjoying your league where you're at, breaking even is not bad. You should hit during times when you're powerful. You should always. You see your hero gets that buff. You're in the meta now. Run to your new league like crazy and put in that extra time. Now may not be the time for that extra push into heroes, and that's okay. But stop frustrating yourself. This is going to pass. And actually, as we kind of said here, this will be really fun. It's crazy to have Fenix doing everything it is. The power creep on things like warp conduit resets and the slow stacking that he has are so oppressive. But we're banning him out. in Hero League. For the most part, if he gets through, that's an artifact of your league, and that's tough.
It is. But also think about, like, say you're playing quick match or you're letting him through the bans, it feels really good to win against Fenix right now. And it probably won't after he gets balanced. It'll just feel like winning any other game. Unless you're like me and there's certain heroes that you pick out and you're just like, I hate this hero and I want to destroy them into the ground. Stitches at the moment for me. I want to kill Stitches.
Because he's been carrying you behind those walls.
He's been eating me and carrying me behind those walls.
I can't speak to the surge in Stitches yet. I'm not sure where that came from, but it has increased in popularity.
Yeah.
Well, Medivh.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Gosh. Ooh, Medivh.
Medivh's getting I started seeing Medivh bans this week, which
Really?
I think I like the Medivh bans.
The tough thing for me about Medivh is, one, Medivh Lili. It's quite powerful because Lili still has a decent standard of damage. But Medivh is a battle of information, and for me, it's a single ability. It's his Q, and if it hits you, it reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds. And so all you got to do is wiggle. And you wiggle, and then you have a 5-second window, and then you wiggle again, and you 5-second window, and when you get hit, you go, okay, time to wiggle again. That is how you stop the Medivh DPS from being so high. Is that informed on the enemy side? Do you have to play and purchase a full price hero to learn that? Not really. You can go into try mode, but who does? And that's where I'd say Medivh actually has maybe a design issue.
Where it's just not clear that you're doing something wrong when you're hit by Arcane Rift?
Right. Same thing with maybe something like a Ragnaros or cooldown reset at level 7 off of his Hand of Ragnaros. That can win games. But knowing about that is an advantage you might have, but you got to communicate that around. And depending on your league, that may not be viable.
I think my thoughts with Medivh kind of comes from a place of, I don't know, unwillingness to adapt. Like I get kind of winded when a hero like Medivh or a hero like Zarya or even Tassadar to some degree are in the meta. Because the way that their shields work, whether it's Force of Will or the other two heroes that I mentioned, in our pickup games at home, it seems to have such wildly varied mileage. There are games where the Medivh gets on the other team and that Force of Will comes out and his teammates take full advantage of it. They know. They're like, yes, I can stay in this fight longer than I normally would. And it works, and it's a very tough fighting against the Medivh, whereas then the very next game could be the exact same comp. Medivh throws out that Force of Will, it doesn't matter. That hero just leaves anyway. And it ends up not having that large of effect on the game. And it's just, it's such a swap in what I've come to know from Heroes of the Storm. Now, if he stays meta, I think it's fine. I think I just need more time regularly going up against this hero. But it seems that damage mitigating heroes just go in and out so often that I'm just not used to them.
There's one way you can take this right now if you are worried about Medivh or many of the things happening in the current meta. It's Diablo. He is great at destroying tanks, but also displacing Medivh away from his portal, even if he's protected, is extremely powerful and much better than laying any sort of roots, having a stun ready for him so he's sitting right next to his portal when it ends, and he was invincible for the whole stun. Diablo is actually on Hot Slugs right now, he is in the most winning comps.
Yeah, I think he's the highest warrior right now.
While we're broadcasting warnings here, I do want to take a little moment to warn everybody about Garrosh at the moment. Our bans have gone full Fenix and then something else depending on your league. And that could be anything. Kael'thas's, Tracers, Thralls, maybe you throw in a Sonya there, Hanzo in higher leagues. But this means that Garrosh is getting through as well as Maiev, and that's a very powerful stack. Of course, you're forcing people into a center. Garrosh goes taunt with everyone in a center. They're going to be locked down and get destroyed. But the real thing that's going on with Garrosh right now is Wrecking Ball's range matches Groundbreaker. This means that you walk in or you mount up and run in throw at max range, and immediately cancel your in the air animation with a groundbreaker and have a stun for where they land. This is basically giving you Earthshaker, the level 16 talent, at level 1. If you want to pull this off, do not do Unrivaled Strength at 1 because you'll increase your range, making this hard to do. It is so easy to perform this lockdown on Garrosh. You have to be careful of it out there.
My favorite thing you said right there was don't take a certain talent at level 1 because you're making this godlike combo harder.
Yeah. How ridiculous is that?
It's pretty absurd, Kyle.
Watch out for it. It's very powerful. Jaina's in the meta too, so Ring of Frost on top, but whatever you want to. Like I said, there was a Gazlo part of this too. That Diablo can be a part of it. Watch for it building on the enemy side.
And if you can't get Diablo to counter that Medivh, maybe consider Garrosh.
Maybe, right? Send him on the trip.
Yep. Well, that's going to wrap up the news. Let's take a few emails before we wrap this up and go off into our patron bonanza this evening.
Darkness stopped calling.
I hear the wilds call. Wait, nature calls.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
Send your emails in. The email address is itncast@gmail.com. Daniel's going to get us started tonight, and Daniel says, good day, guys. So my problem is I have my select 5 heroes I'm above average with, which is Zul, Tyrande, Azmodan, Zarya, and Ragnaros. Wait, what?
Okay.
All right, you are off meta, sir.
You're a weird man, sir.
And I'm digging it, except the Azmodan. You do you, Daniel. Don't let my personal opinions alter anything. Anyway, all with the win rate of 55 to 75%. Yeah, don't listen to me. You keep doing you.
Whatever.
But as they are not meta picks in draft, I'm made to swap pretty much every time I hover over them. I will happily swap to what the team needs, but sometimes I feel like we definitely could have won a game we lost when I'm forced to swap if I had selected one of my top 5. My question is, should I get good with more meta heroes so I can pick them in my drafts? Finding it very frustrating as I feel if I wish to play the heroes I'm good with, I'm forced to go quick match. Thanks very much for any tips you can give me, and keep up the amazing work. Been listening to you guys from the beta, and your strategy sections have definitely helped my game. That's awesome. Dude, I would I would go in swinging with a 75% win rate Ragnaros here. Call me Swagnaros. I'm taking this hero.
That's actually a great way to lead. Build that web we've talked about before. You got Ragnaros, who is always rather welcome. So you show the Ragnaros, and then as the draft develops, you see something. Make it up. You know, it could actually be a sweet counter, but you see something there that makes you go, ooh, guys, I was going to solo lane with this Rag, but that over there makes me think about Zul. I'm going to go Zul. This is totally going to rock it. And then they've seen that chain from, okay, Ragnaros, he's going to fight like this, but now he's going to bring a Zul who's going to fight like a Ragnaros. This isn't a solo push Zul. I like his Zul. And same thing with Azmodan. If you're on Kael'thas and then you go, oh, wait, hang on. The Azmodan would be perfect here. I'm going to think, oh, circles, explosions. He's joining team fights. This isn't going to be solo push Azmodan.
Yeah. Yeah, and anything like that. I mean, my first big climb ever was done on the back of Tychus and Zagara, which were both pretty off meta at the time. Zagara extremely so. And if I was hovering over Zagara, I always led with my win rate, which at the time I think was like 70%. I was like, hey guys, just so you know, 70% Queen Zerg here, trying to put you at ease.
Even better if you can mention the map in some way.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely helpful. That being said, don't go to quick match, go to unranked. You pick whatever the hell you want in unranked. Who gives a crap? It's a place to practice with comps that somewhat make sense.
And I haven't felt any pressure in any unranked game to be in comms, if that's been an issue for anybody.
No, I haven't. I haven't either. I haven't calmed in unranked since I think the 3rd week that it's been live. If I'm playing there, I'm relaxing.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna listen to pings, and be fine. I still love communication in Hero League. I would prefer it, frankly. But when I'm just relaxing, get into unranked, I still get my draft. I still get a comp where we're most likely going to have at least one tank and a healer. But I don't want to talk to anybody.
Zool is such a weird one. He's got the second highest win rate in Masters at the moment. And he drops pretty sharply off from there, really favoring things like Rexar and Butcher as we get into the lower leagues. I'm not sure where he is either at the moment. And this is a great roster for, like we said earlier, waiting patiently. And if the meta hits that you're good in, you've got these stars ready to go. I think Tyrande is a beast right now. I think she's snuck back in. She's avoided a lot of the nerfs that the other supports receive because she has that sort of half-seas thing. Medivh fills her out pretty darn well if you don't want to run that Lily.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I went up against a couple of Tyrandas this week and they absolutely scared the hell out of me. Their damage is extremely deceptive. Their ability to win 1v1s is equally deceptive. Where you're just like, oh, Tyranda's out. I'll just kill her. No, you won't.
Well, you might be building a lot of superstitions in quick match. And let me tell you, I mean, Novas using orbital strikes to take out forts, that doesn't happen in ranked Nova play. You never see that. You never see a Tyrande so powerful. The players in quick match are often those one-trick ponies, and they know things that nobody else knows in ranked play. It takes a lot of work to maintain a roster and know all the maps. If you're just powering one hero all night, you are going to be performing beyond any league you're actually rewarded with.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you were a big quick match fan for a very long time, and it was because of off-talent picks. It forced you to just, incentivized you to talent in extremely weird ways. And I saw you accomplish things with heroes in quick match I didn't think was possible.
I think the change really happened with the double support nerf in some way. During that time period, that or the more casual players and the people I really enjoy playing quick match with for fun have trouble keeping up with so many balance patches, I think is a big part of it. And when you add a support to the enemy side, your Greymane dive has 50 if statements now. And it is very confusing to deal with that much CC on a character and just completely being wrong after you make an engage because somebody got healed.
Yeah.
If you want to have fun in quick match right now, stop bringing supports. Just end it. Because Tyrandas are too good if you run that half-seas Abathur or something like that. Just cut them out, and you can have a really great time in quick match. I'm dead serious about that. I wouldn't tell Blizzard, stop supports from playing in quick match, but that's the roughest part for players who don't keep up on every balance change.
Whereas I'm sitting here going, Kyle, this is this is the most I've liked quick match in a while, and it's because I'm getting supports on my team.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not completely bonkers.
And it could be that when I roll out with my friends, we normally end up putting supports or lesser tier players on the support, and quick match is extremely punishing of supports because they love killing them. And there's all sorts of gankers for them, like Genjis and Tyrandas and Novas and whatnot, that aren't available in a normal draft because we're too busy building the comp. And then we go, oh, crap, can you support at the end there? Ah, okay. We got one. We're good.
When in reality, you just put you put them on the XP lead generating hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. I will say right now I am starting to feel like I would rather have a warrior in quick match and no healer than vice versa. The games that I've ended up in with a healer and no tank on either side, it just gets wacky. They feel very odd. But
I feel like we do need to, if we're going to add one quick match rule today, let's separate self-regenerating tanks and bruisers. I mean, I wouldn't really call Arthas a self-regenerating tank until 10, which doesn't really count, compared to something like Stitches, Muradin, even Sonya, maybe not a main tank there. But now Varian's self-regenerating too, with his new Lion's Fang.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Varian really feels like he's not hitting hard enough, though.
He did get his power pie all switched up a bit. So when you make that engagement, it used to be a big old heroic strike, and you just be like, connected, take that. And now you should be helping your team and tanking properly.
Yeah, which I am still doing, but I miss that particular aspect of Varian. But whatever the case is, Daniel, I would say you've proven yourself. I have a history of the saltiest players I get matched with tend to spy on your profile anyway. So own it. Own your accomplishments with these off-meta picks. By the way, Ragnaros not off-meta. Everyone's still perfectly happy to see a Ragnaros. And I think you could make a case for Tyrande. I see the Zool and the Azmodans being a little, you probably have to sell them. Zarya as well to a certain extent.
But you've got a great through line here. Start with Ragnaros, a solo laner that's going to participate in the team fights. Ooh, we need more lane clear. Let me push us that way. Hang on, guys. Tyranda's a perfect pick. And building, it's going to show you as someone who knows what they're doing.
I like that. So you start with the crowd pleaser. And if it works, it works. Cool. Just lock in Ragnaros.
Yeah.
But then if you need to go down a different path, you're making educated shifts. All right. Final email for today. Alex writes in and says, hello there, longtime listener and first-time emailer here. First off, I'd like to say I agree with Jeff concerning the opening cinematic from Vanilla WoW as one of the best Blizzard has ever put forth. I remember watching it multiple times before actually playing the game because of how enormous it made the scope of the game feel. However, neither of you mentioned Diablo cinematics. No love for when the sword is thrown into the World Stone at the end of D2's story? I've already let the cat out of the bag. I've really only played Diablo 3. And
until this next playthrough, I thought Baal was Taurasha. So the cutscenes didn't make a lot of sense.
I also have this weird thing where I am a lot more forgiving to janky-ass graphics in a science fiction setting, but janky graphics in a fantasy setting do nothing for me.
That's interesting. I mean, I know like metals look much better in old graphics than rocks and plants.
Organic shapes are harder to make than geometric.
Yeah.
And that straight up is why I think, if I'm analyzing my own brain, it just comes down to the fact that most things that were done with really bad early graphics were really over-the-top, stupid, science fiction, chrome-looking, probably would have been in an issue of Heavy Metal magazine type stuff.
Well, and me and my friends would actually take our two fingers, one in each hand, and put it inside your mouth and open those up like you're going to the orthodontist, and we'd say, I love cold fusion, and pull that around to make fun of the StarCraft cinematics.
Oh, yeah, those faces are so busted, but there's something about it that I find just so charming. Whereas the older Warcraft stuff and anything from Diablo that isn't Diablo 3 just looks kind of janky to me, and I don't like it that much.
The opening, I mean, really the Diablo 2 cinematics, when you play through that, when you sit through the lore and you're an adult now and you're willing to sit through lore, as I would put it for myself anyway, I'm not power gaming on a weekend going, go, this is a rental. I really enjoy D2, and the Wanderer walking into the tavern and just losing it, and demons slithering out of every dark crevice is just amazing.
Fair enough. I also don't have the nostalgia for it, whereas I do for something like StarCraft.
Yeah, that will change things quite a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, on to Alex's question. Alex says, I was recently in a situation in a Hero League draft that I had yet to experience in the game, in which the role I was to play was support, and my only support hero was banned by the other team. When it comes to the stable of heroes I can hop on, Vala, Kerrigan, Junkrat, Raynor, Diablo, Artanis, Johanna, Sylvanas, Hammer, and Sonya, the only support hero I've ever both felt I was good at playing and enjoyed is Stukov. I particularly like the utility that his Lurking Arm provides. I am with you there, Alex. The situation I described above was made worse by the fact that I had already selected Stukov and then left the computer briefly, thinking that I could finish a task elsewhere in my home quickly and return in time for the start of the match. I know. I was auto-assigned KT. I didn't perform badly on him, but the fact remains that this entire affair could have been avoided should I have had another support hero I was proficient in playing. Based on the stable of heroes that I have listed above, who would you suggest that I pick up as my second backup support hero? Finding a hero that I enjoy playing is the most important to me, as I will not play characters that I do not enjoy. I think that's fair and admirable. I'll give you bonus points if you could identify someone I will enjoy playing who also excels at supporting in areas where Stukov does not. Lastly, please do not suggest Anna. I will never play her. I wouldn't. I would not suggest that. However, I do think Anna is fun as hell to play. But there's no worse feeling in this world than missing that queue. No. But
Did you tell us his league by chance?
No.
Okay.
No mention of league. Just that top heroes are Hammer, Sonya, Vala, Kerrigan, Junkrat, Raynor, Diablo, Artanis, Johanna, Sylvanas. It's actually too many to wrap my brain around.
Okay, but there is a avoidance of spellcasters here, which means that he doesn't play support very well. And I mean, that's basically the connection a lot of people do. Am I good at auto attacks? Sweet! I will do melees, some rangers, and tanks. If you're good at bursting, you're good at standing in a safe place, you end up back on supports because they're very similar to our burst mages.
That is where I have kind of ended up. I started this game in love with mages, and I have ended up in a world where I like auto attackers and melee heroes. So I don't support very much anymore either. So I find myself in a very similar boat as Alex. But I do enjoy support. I just don't do it that much anymore. But I mean, the first place my brain goes would be, I don't know, is Tyrande too bold, Kyle? We've been talking about Tyrande this game.
Yeah, with a Stukov, you don't bring a cleanse, so you're not worrying about that, but you do bring AoE, effects for the enemy team, and healing. So the next big one to move on to is going to be Malfurion. You can kind of make your way onto Alex because she has the area circle heal and this similar kind of control with her slows, but doesn't match the silence. I mean, Stukov is the only support that you should be picking before the second ban in most cases. Otherwise, you're giving away too much. Stukov is just generally very powerful. You might be able to run a Lili, you might be able to run a Brightwing, but those are going to be about your passions while still fulfilling that I'm taking care of a whole team mentality. The tough thing for your team, if you're in a league above gold where people read into the draft and are going to make assumptions on your play, switching from Stukov to say Uther is you are wildly changing the comp, how we're going to interact with you as a support. You're going from removal to divine shielding. You're going from AoE burst healing to single target burst healing. It's so different. I mean, certainly I've seen people who are like, I only play Ariel. What else you got? Kharazim. And you're just like, these do not connect.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Because I would recommend Uther. I think, if you've never really given Uther an honest shake, that his stun is, you're just going to fall in love with it. The strength and the decision making that it gives you, the sense of security that it gives you as a healer. Like, yeah, Stukov after 10 has he has a big push, which can act in a very similar way as Uther's stun to, oh, nope, you want to attack me? Sorry, you don't get to. But Uther has that from the get-go. It's a basic ability. And yes, I understand your thought of, connecting the dots, right? Like, Stukov got picked. All right, I'm swapping over to this hero. But Alex here seems to be putting the emphasis on interesting to play or fun to play. What's the carrot?
Well, she turns into a dragon.
I think that's fair. I think Alex is fair, and I find the Q management on Alex to be very fun. Or not Q. What button is her fireball on?
Oh yeah, the spamming her. Yeah, no, you got it. Her Q.
No, it is a Q. Okay, cool. For some reason, I thought it wasn't. Oh no, Q is gift of life.
You're right. You're wrong.
No,
we're both wrong.
Flame buffet, which I call buffet just to make people angry, is E. Yeah. That again is fun. So you're not doing the same thing as Lurking Arm. It's not nearly as effective. It's not a giant AoE silence zone control. But you're not going to find that on anyone else. As you said, Stukov's just really good right now. and a very safe general support pick. So you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to try something different. Yeah.
My Malfurion learning activity has gone awful, by the way. Last show I was talking about, maybe I'll get him up. No. Oh, my goodness. I've been playing lots of Alex. I love her. And I feel like I'm developing that poking while being busy supporting people. But, man, Malfurion's busy. And I would rather fight AIs.
Yeah, you're not alone. You remember last week when I was like, I'm going to learn Tracer. I'm going to really go for it.
How'd that go?
No,
Nah,
not for me.
Okay.
not for
Well,
me.
you and me both. Because Malfurion is such a great follow-up if you lose Stukov. It's a very clear line of communication, but not for me. I like Uther and then going Rhaegar because I'm saying I'm going to Divine Shield you. Whoops, can't. All right, you're going to get an Ancestral. We're still in the same camp.
Yeah. I would say give Malfurion an honest shake, though. Like, just because both Kyle and I don't speak highly of Malfurion, it's really a personal taste thing. He is supremely in the meta at the moment. I would argue he never really left the meta. Malfurion's always been, in all of his forms, a possible pick as a route you could go. And right now, he's amazing. So give Malfurion a shot. You may find, ooh, roots. I like these roots. You might find that you like managing all the other aspects of making his heals worthwhile. But, yeah. I'm going to stick with Uther. I know it makes no sense. It's a 180. Like you pulled the e-brake on the interstate. But I am a firm believer that Uther is always a sound decision.
Oh, Uther, I mean, you know, you're just preaching the choir here with me. I mean, I love Uther so much. I love Holy Shock. I love Genji being like, pew, 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 hey, Uther, pew, pew. And I'm like, what? And smacking him in the face with the Holy Light, and then I heal the fool. He's like, oh. And then as you get into that fight later, Genji's mind is gone. Uther's invincible. I won't attack him. So you're just running around, stunning, doing whatever the heck you want, and everyone's ignoring you.
Yeah. Yeah. But the sane direction is Malfurion. I think our Kyle's. So you're saying your pick for fun, and not completely going the opposite direction as Alexstrasza. I vote Uther. But
I would say for a draft here, show that Stukov if you don't really want to even. So you're being forced onto Stukov, and then if you want to impress the people, you can do Lily or Brightwing with a great win rate in most leagues, and pull the. Oh, we need a cleanse, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's right. We do need a cleanse, and we wouldn't want Stukov in the first place. I love this guy."
No one disagrees with that. When you say we need a cleanse,
everyone's like, "Yes, yeah, of course we do."
It's election year, and everyone's saying, "I support children." It's like,
yes,
way to pick a side.
Level 7, you're just kissing babies.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we need a cleanse. Ends all arguments. Also, Brightwing, they sneakily snuck in a Zerg skin last week that I just now found out about. Thank you, Twitter. So Brightwing finally has a cool skin, so go get that as well. But yeah, that brings us basically to the end here. We need to thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you enjoy Into the Nexus, if you get some value from the show and you would like to give some value in return, whether it is $1 an episode, $5 an episode, whatever works for you, we really appreciate it. Check out patreon.com/ITN. We are now a bit below our previously achieved goal of Dunk Train after that Patreon scare a while ago. But just in case you missed it, Patreon is not going forward with those changes that they talked about 4 or 5 months ago now. It's staying the same. There are no additional fees. So if you left and you're thinking about coming back, hopefully there's some peace of mind for you. If you've never done it before, it doesn't matter. It works as advertised. Check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. And this week, we'd like to thank the following patrons: Jeremy, Kyle A.H., and Diesel, no last name given. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We very much appreciate it. And huge thanks to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. Other than that, you can pick up Into the Nexus t-shirts at shirts.amove.tv. We also have custom etched glassware, things like coffee mugs, wine glasses, and such at etched.amove.tv. Follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. That's where we update things like if we have to change the time. If certain pro players had to reschedule, you would know that ahead of time by listening to ITNcast on Twitter. And before we go, Kyle, you do other things around the web. Where can folks find that?
Yeah, this week you should check out my YouTube, youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson. Learn to play Silver is up. And if you want to hear the main statement of it, high value heroics.
Oh, I thought you were going to say high value upvotes because you're killing it on Reddit with these things.
Oh, thank you.
I got on yesterday. I didn't know you had even put it out. And I get onto Reddit and I'm just like, oh, Kyle Fergusson with like 700 upvotes. Well, look at this fancy pants.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed the interactions. And it's been really great having so many people stop by the stream, talk about the video, talk about their leagues. And I'm just having a fantastic time with them.
Nice. Well, you're doing good work, man. Everyone should check it out. Folks, I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can follow me there and listen to my ramblings. All of the podcasts I do can be found at amove.tv. Kyle and I have another show. If you enjoy us, you enjoy our dynamic, but you wish we would talk about complete nonsense for 90 minutes to get you started at the beginning of your week, you should check out Week Sauce. All one word, spelled like days of the week. It's a morning show we do every Monday where I've been awake for a few hours. Kyle literally just rolled out of bed, is barely coherent, and I catch him up on what's happening in the world. Actually, a lot of times we just exchange very deeply personal stories and overshare.
Well, I mean, not like in a weird way.
Sometimes a weird way.
And like, yeah, but like in a family kind of way.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And family's weird.
No, they do. They will talk about things.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think we get weird uncle, though. We're not coming over and like, man, I really got to medicate my feet here. And they just have at it in your living room.
Have I ever told you that my goal is to be the weird uncle?
Well, but you're speeding along fantastically.
I'm glad. Other than that, again, amove.tv for all the podcasts. Also, check out my graphic design portfolio. You can find it at nomoonart.com because my name is hard to spell. There's also lessons. If you would like to book me for lessons, go to nomoonart.com/lessons. Check it out. Appreciate it. It's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. We will be back next week with Tempo Storm as long as their ISP holds out. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
That's a show.
That's a show. It's time for the patron bonanza.
Oh, can I take like 5 to just stop staring at lights?
No, totally. We are not scheduled to start the bonanza until 6:45 Pacific, 9:45 your time. So I'm going to take over the stream here. We're going to put on a timer and a little bit of music while we wait. And then we'll see you guys in about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. So we got, okay, great. I'm going to go make a drink and sit on the couch for a bit.
Exactly. We're recrafting this to sanity.
Yeah, because I'm sweating. These lights are hot. But all right, yeah. So if you're here for the Patron Bonanza, stick around. We'll be kicking that off in a little less than 15 minutes. Kyle, are you ready to take, as I get a hiccup out of nowhere, are you ready to take over the stream?
I am ready.